The underestimated. The Nexus Arena hung suspended in the void between three star systems, a massive crystalline structure that glimmered with the reflected light of distant suns. Inside, representatives from over 200 sentient species gathered for the 583rd Galactic Combat Tournament, an event that determined not just honor, but resource allocations, trade agreements, and diplomatic standings for the next standard cycle. Commander Vexlarn of the Arcturian Dominion adjusted his ceremonial armor as he observed the gathering combatants. His second-in-command, Officer Trill, approached with a data tablet displaying the tournament brackets. Another tournament, another predictable outcome. Trill said, mandibles clicking in amusement. The Drazik will take the championship again. Vexlarn nodded. 15 consecutive victories for their house. With their natural armor and regenerative capabilities, who could challenge them? Oh, have you heard? Trill's compound eyes glittered with mirth. The humans have sent another representative. Humans. Vexlarn's ridged brow raised. That fragile species from the oxygen-heavy world. I thought they'd learned their lesson after their last 3 competitors were hospitalized. Apparently not. And they've been placed in the Death Gauntlet bracket. The Death Gauntlet, a tournament path designed for species deemed unworthy of serious consideration. It matched newcomers against the most fearsome combatants in increasingly difficult bouts. No species had ever advanced beyond the second round. Their designation? Vexlarn asked, feeling a twinge of pity for whatever human had been sent to this slaughter. Lyra Chen. Female. From their eastern continental region. Specialization listed as. Trill paused, mandibles twitching. Traditional Earth combat arts and tactical adaptation. Tactical adaptation. Vexlarn repeated, his derision evident. Against opponents with natural weapons, telekinetic abilities, and armored hides. Their arrogance knows no bounds. Across the preparation chamber, a small figure sat quietly on a bench, eyes closed in meditation. Lyra Chen appeared unremarkable by human standards. Average height, athletic build, black hair pulled back from her face. She wore a simple black bodysuit with minimal protective gear and carried no visible weapons or technology. Most notable was her complete stillness amid the chaotic preparations of the other combatants. Kralthak, champion of the Varkian Imperium and Lyra's first opponent, stomped toward her. 8 feet of rippling muscle, chitinous plating, and aggressive intent. His translator broadcast his words at maximum volume, ensuring everyone in the chamber could hear. Human, you dishonor this arena with your presence. Your species is known for machines, not combat. Return to your planet and send robots next time. His forearms flexed, displaying razor-sharp talons that had disemboweled opponents in previous tournaments. The human opened her eyes but remained seated. Her voice, when she spoke, was calm and carried unexpected weight. I am not here to represent machines. I am here to represent human adaptability. Kralthak's laughter was echoed by others in the chamber. Adaptability. You'll need to adapt to having your limbs torn off. Lyra simply closed her eyes again, returning to her meditation. In the commentator's booth, senior analyst Zixmora adjusted her neural transmitter as she prepared for the broadcast. Welcome, sentients of the Galactic Union, to the 583rd Combat Tournament. I'm your host, Zixmora, joined by tactical expert General Thune of the Pleiadian Defense Force. The holographic displays around the arena flickered to life, showing the competitors' statistics and the tournament brackets. Our first match features Kralthak of the Varkian Imperium, General Thune rumbled, a 3-time quarter-finalist with 17 confirmed kills in previous tournaments. And his opponent, Zixmora continued, is Earth's representative, Lyra Chen. This is only the 4th time humans have participated in the tournament, with their previous representatives failing to survive their first matches. The arena erupted in a mix of cheers and jeers as Kralthak entered, his massive form dominating the transparent combat platform. When Lyra stepped out, the reaction was predominantly laughter and dismissive hoots. Look at the size difference, General Thune commented. The human doesn't even reach the Varkian's shoulder plate, and she appears to be unarmed. Betting systems are showing 500 to 1 odds against the human. Six more added. The medical team has already been alerted to standby. In the arena, Chief Arbiter Drellixer raised his ceremonial staff. Combatants, this match will continue until submission, incapacitation, or death. Medical intervention is permitted only upon declaration of victory. Begin. Krolthak didn't waste time. He charged forward with a roar that shook the arena structure, all 4 arms extended to grab the human. Spectators leaned forward, expecting a quick and brutal end. What happened next caused the entire arena to fall silent. Lyra moved, not away, but toward the charging alien. At the last possible moment, she pivoted, using the Varkian's momentum against him. Her hands found precise pressure points between his chitinous plates, and with a series of quick strikes, she targeted nerve clusters that evolution had buried under armor for protection. Krolthak stumbled, one side of his massive body suddenly unresponsive. He roared in confusion and fury, swinging his remaining functional arms in wide arcs. Lyra flowed around them like water around stone, never where the blows landed, always moving to positions of advantage. What are we seeing? Zix Moore stuttered in the commentary booth. The human appears to be using some form of pressure point combat adapted specifically for Varkian physiology. Impossible, General Thune countered. Varkian nerve clusters are classified biological information. How could a human know? His words cut off as Lyra executed a perfect throw, using the Varkian's weight against him. The massive alien crashed to the platform with a sound that reverberated throughout the arena. Before he could recover, she applied precise pressure to a spot at the base of his neck plates. Krolthak went completely rigid, then slumped into unconsciousness. The silence that followed was absolute. Chief Arbiter Drellixer hesitated, clearly shocked, before raising his staff. Victory by incapacitation. Earth. The medical team rushed forward, scanners whirring as they examined the fallen Varkian. He's alive, one announced. Some kind of neural disruption. Non-permanent. In the stands, Commander Vexlarn turned to Officer Trill, mandibles hanging slack. How? How did she know Varkian pressure points? I don't know, Trill replied, frantically searching through data files. Her background says she trained in something called Ninjutsu, an ancient Earth combat discipline focused on adaptation and exploiting weaknesses. But this is beyond adaptation. She studied her opponent's biology in detail. In the center of the arena, Lyra bowed respectfully to her fallen opponent, then to the Arbiter. As she walked calmly from the platform, the screens displayed the updated tournament bracket. Her name had advanced, and her next opponent was highlighted. Zorax the Mindbreaker, an ethereal with telekinetic abilities who had crushed his last opponent's internal organs without touching them. The betting systems flashed briefly before recalculating the odds. They had dropped from 500 to 1 to 100 to 1 against the human. In the preparation chamber, Lyra resumed her meditation position, eyes closed. But now, the other combatants kept their distance, watching her with newfound wariness. The human's calm expression revealed nothing of her thoughts or her strategy for the next battle, only a quiet certainty that had begun to unsettle even the most confident champions. The revolution had begun with a single victory, but no one yet understood just how thoroughly humanity was about to change the Galactic Combat Tournament and their place in the cosmic hierarchy. The revolution. The arena buzzed with a tension that hadn't existed before Lyra Chen's victory over Krolthak. In the 20 hours since that match, viewership of the tournament had tripled across the Galactic Union. Species that had never shown interest in combat sports were suddenly fixated on the small human who had defeated a Varkian champion. In the analysis center beneath the arena, military strategists and combat specialists from a dozen species huddled around holographic replays of the match. Look here, a Silurian tactician pointed with a scaled finger. She targets the auxiliary nerve junction, a weakness even most Varkians don't know about. This isn't just adaptation. This is extensive preparation. The question is, replied an Andromedan observer, their crystalline form refracting light as they moved. How could she prepare? Detailed cynobiological data on combat species is restricted information. In her private preparation chamber, Lyra sat cross-legged before a small holographic display. Images of her next opponent, Zorax the Mindbreaker, rotated slowly. The ethereal's translucent body pulsed with neural energy, its form barely substantial in the physical realm. A soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal Tournament Director Krulvor, his administrative insignia glowing on his uniform. Ms. Chen, he began, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into standard Galactic. Your victory has created concerns among the committee. Lyra looked up calmly. What concerns would those be, Director? Your knowledge of Varkian physiology exceeds what should be available to humans. Some have suggested improper intelligence gathering. You mean cheating? Lyra stated simply. That term has been used, yes. Lyra's expression remained neutral. You scanned me before the match. No implants, no technology, no performance enhancements, which makes your performance all the more suspicious. Director, Lyra said, rising to her feet with fluid grace, when humans joined the Galactic Union 50 years ago, we were immediately classified as a minor species with limited potential. Our requests for educational exchanges were denied. Our applications to your combat academies were rejected. You forced us to learn on our own. She gestured to the holographic display of Zorax. So we did. We studied every recorded tournament. We analyzed every public appearance of every combat species. We developed our own understanding of xenobiology through observation and inference. You underestimated our capacity to learn, and now you call it cheating when we succeed. Krulvor's compound eyes flashed with agitation. The committee has decided your next match will proceed as scheduled. But know that you are being watched closely, human. After he left, Lyra returned to her meditation, focusing her mind on the challenge ahead. Defeating a Varkian was difficult. Defeating an ethereal whose primary attack was psychic would require entirely different strategies. In the arena, the crowd had grown to unprecedented numbers. The betting systems showed the odds had shifted again. Now only 50-1 against the human. Rumors had spread through the spectator decks. Whispers that Earth had secretly developed some new combat technique, that Lyra was enhanced in ways the scanners couldn't detect, that humans were not the simple, fragile species everyone had assumed. Welcome back to the Nexus Arena, Zix Mora announced, her voice carrying to billions of viewers across the Union. Today's first match continues the Death Gauntlet bracket, with Earth's Lyra Chen facing the formidable Zorax of the Ethereal Collective. General Thune leaned into his microphone. After yesterday's surprising victory, security protocols have been enhanced. Additional scanners confirm the human is using no technology or biological enhancements. Whatever advantage she possesses is apparently natural. The combatants entered from opposite sides of the arena. Zorax floated rather than walked, his semi-transparent form pulsing with psychic energy. Lyra entered with the same composed stride as before, though observers noted she now wore thin protective bands around her temples. Those appear to be simple psionic dampeners, Zix Mora commented. Basic technology available to most species, though they offer only minimal protection against an ethereal of Zorax's caliber. Chief Arbiter Drelixer raised his staff. Combatants, standard rules apply. Begin. Unlike the straightforward charge of Kralthak, Zorax remained motionless. The air around him warped as invisible psychic energy gathered. Lyra also stood still, her breathing slow and controlled, eyes locked on her opponent. The first attack came without warning, a telekinetic blast that should have thrown Lyra across the arena. Instead, at the precise moment of impact, she shifted her weight and redirected the force, spinning with it rather than against it. The energy dissipated around her in visible waves. Extraordinary, General Thune exclaimed. She's using a physical technique to counter psychic energy. Zorax's form pulsed more intensely. His next attack targeted Lyra's mind directly, a psychic assault that had incapacitated previous opponents instantly. The human's expression tightened with pain, but she remained standing, the psionic dampeners glowing hot against her temples. What happened next caused gasps among even the most experienced observers. Lyra began to move through a series of precise forms, movements that seemed to create interference patterns in the psychic field Zorax was generating. With each motion, the ethereal's attacks became less effective, as if her physical actions were somehow disrupting his mental focus. "This is unprecedented," Zixmora whispered into her microphone. "She's using what appears to be a physical meditation technique to create psychic static." Zorax's translucent form flared with frustration. He launched a concentrated attack, a visible beam of neural energy aimed directly at Lyra's heart. Instead of dodging, she met the beam with her open palm, the psionic dampeners on her wrist flaring. For a moment, the energy suspended between them, neither advancing nor retreating. Then Lyra did something no one anticipated. She closed her eyes. She's meditating. In the middle of combat, General Foon sounded bewildered. But it wasn't meditation, it was concentration. Humans have been classified as having negligible psychic potential, yet Lyra was now reflecting Zorax's energy back toward him. Not with any innate psychic ability, but through a perfect understanding of how to manipulate the dampeners and her own neural pathways to create a mirror effect. The redirected energy struck Zorax with full force. His form destabilized, neural patterns scattering. He collapsed into an incoherent mass of energy, effectively unconscious by ethereal standards. Once again, the arena fell silent before erupting into chaos. Chief Arbiter Drellixer hesitated even longer this time before declaring victory by incapacitation. Earth. As medical specialists rushed to stabilize Zorax's neural pattern, the tournament brackets updated. Lyra had advanced to the third round of the Death Gauntlet, farther than any Death Gauntlet competitor in the tournament's history. Her next opponent would be Drozar, the unconquered 15-time champion of the entire tournament. In the VIP observation deck, representatives from the Galactic Council gathered in urgent discussion. "This changes everything," Ambassador Tilon of the Andromedan Conclave stated. "If humans can develop techniques to counter both physical and psychic combat styles without genetic modification or advanced technology, then our assessment of their species has been catastrophically wrong," finished High Commander Zexforn of the Arcturian fleet. "Perhaps," suggested another voice, "it is time to reconsider their classification as a minor species." The final match of the tournament drew an audience that broke all previous records. Spacecraft crowded the space around the Nexus Arena, with billions more watching via neural feed across the galaxy. The betting systems had crashed multiple times as the odds shifted dramatically, now only 5-1 against the human. Drozar the Unconquered entered the arena to thunderous applause. 8 feet tall, with iridescent scales and multiple appendages adapted specifically for combat. He had never lost a match in 25 years. His species, the Drazic, were engineered from birth for warfare, their genetic code optimized over generations. When Lyra entered, something unprecedented occurred. Instead of jeers or dismissive laughter, a significant portion of the crowd cheered for the human. Species that had never before allied themselves with Earth's interests were now vocal supporters of its champion. "We are witnessing history," Zixmora announced, her voice trembling with excitement. Never has a Death Gauntlet competitor faced the tournament champion. Never has a human advanced beyond the first round. Yet here we are. General Foon's analysis was more measured. Drozar has studied the human's previous matches extensively. He will not underestimate her as his predecessors did. In the center of the arena, Chief Arbiter Drellixer raised his staff for the final time. "Combatants, this championship match will continue until submission, incapacitation, or death. Begin." What followed was unlike any combat the Galactic Tournament had ever witnessed. Drozar attacked with precision and strategy, avoiding the straightforward approaches that Lyra had countered before. His movements were unpredictable, his techniques adapted on the fly specifically to counter her observed strengths. But for every adaptation he made, Lyra responded with one of her own. When he attacked with speed, she used stillness. When he employed power, she used redirection. When he attacked from multiple angles, she created a defensive sphere of continuous motion that left no opening. An hour passed with neither combatant gaining definitive advantage. Drozhar's natural regeneration healed the few strikes Lyra landed, while her superior mobility allowed her to avoid the worst of his attacks. The audience watched in awe as the battle elevated from mere combat to something approaching art. They're learning from each other, General Thune observed with wonder. Every exchange teaches them both something new. Finally, as the match approached the 2-hour mark, Drozhar made his decisive move. He triggered a genetic adaptation that flooded his system with combat hormones, temporarily boosting his strength and speed beyond their normal impressive limits. His attack came from all directions at once, his multiple limbs moving with blinding speed. Lyra took the first hit directly, the impact sending her sliding across the platform. The crowd gasped. She rose slowly, blood trickling from a cut above her eye. Drozhar pressed his advantage, moving in for the finishing blow. In that moment, Lyra demonstrated why humans would never again be underestimated. Instead of retreating or defending, she advanced directly into Drozhar's attack. She moved through his strikes, absorbing impacts she couldn't avoid, focusing entirely on reaching a specific position. When she was precisely where she needed to be, her hands moved in a sequence so quick it blurred even on the slow-motion replays. She struck 3 critical points on Drozhar's central nervous system simultaneously, points that required absolute precision and perfect timing to affect his armored body. The champion froze, his enhanced systems suddenly in conflict with themselves. Before he could recover, Lyra executed a final strike to a pressure point at the base of his skull. Drozhar the Unconquered fell to his knees, then forward onto the platform, unconscious but alive. The silence that followed lasted only a heartbeat before the arena erupted in a roar that threatened to shatter its crystalline structure. Chief Arbiter Drolixor raised his staff, his voice almost lost in the tumult. Victory by incapacitation. Earth. The tournament champion is Lyra Chen. As the medical team attended to Drozhar, Lyra stood in the center of the arena, her expression finally showing emotion. Not triumph or arrogance, but quiet satisfaction. She bowed deeply to her fallen opponent, then to each quarter of the arena. In the aftermath, the impact of her victory resonated far beyond the tournament. Within a standard cycle, Earth had been reclassified as a major species within the Galactic Union. The combat academies that had once rejected human applicants now offered full scholarships. Trade agreements were renegotiated on far more favorable terms. Perhaps most significantly, the next tournament saw representatives from 37 species training in what was now being called adaptive combat, a fusion of Earth's traditional martial arts with modern tactical analysis. Humans had become the most sought-after combat instructors in the galaxy. As for Lyra Chen, she declined the customary victory tour. Instead, she established the first interspecies combat academy on Earth, where the philosophy was simple. Any limitation can be overcome through understanding, adaptation, and the indomitable human spirit. The galaxy would never mock human combat skills again.